Welcome to Stocks in Translation, Yahoo Finance's video podcast that cuts through the market mayhem, the noisy numbers, and the hyperbole to give you the information you need to make the right trade for your portfolio. I'm Jared Blikre, your host, and with me is my co-host, Yahoo Finance senior reporter, Brooke DiPalma, who's here to connect the dots and to be that bridge between Wall Street and Main Street. Today, we've got a guest who focuses on short-term time frames. That's day trading and swing trading. Our word of the day is VWAP. It's a way of seeing the tipping points in the market based on market prices over time and weighted by volume. Sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple, and it's incredibly useful for timing the market regardless of your time frame. And on today's Market Show and Tell, we are going to break down our guest's proprietary setup that he calls Faux Show Bro, short for fake out, shake out with a VWAP breakout. If you are a regular listener, you might know who our guest is by now. And this episode is brought to you by the number 51. That's the ratio of the price of gold to the price of silver. What that means for the bullion trade, as silver is now topping $91 per ounce. And today we are welcoming back, you guessed it, Kenny Glick, who is the owner and operator of HitTheBid.com, a room for active traders where he's better known as the Warlock. He's a stand-up comedian who's been studying the tape for decades. And Kenny, by my count, this is your 6th appearance here on Stocks in Translation. So welcome back. It's been a few months. A little bit has happened. Just tell us how you're seeing the new year.
Sure. Thanks for having me. But before we get started, we've been having this raging debate about VWAP. WAP. There's no O in VWAP. And we just had a whole segment about it.
But it's Judge Wapner.
I know.
It's not Judge Wapner.
It's a tomato thing, but I'm making concerted effort.
To be fair, Brian
VWAP.
Shannon, who is like the king of VWAP, he says VWAP, and I know a lot of traders on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. I just can't bring myself to do that.
My Italian friends are very upset. So.
All right. So how are you seeing
2026, how's it shaking out?
Right. So far, so good. Yeah. The activity is phenomenal. Earnings season just started and already having a ball. You know, short of JP Morgan yesterday, and it just, again, just to date this show right now, yesterday's action was super, super bearish, and I love it. You know, the volatility products were peaking up, and JP Morgan, there was nobody buying it. So I woke up today, and I was like, listen, I know we've been talking about how the market never goes down. It's definitely going down today.
You are a big bear. Let me ask you, so are you saying that is this a call on the general market? You think we're at a temporary top here?
Well, that's a good way to say it, because you can never say the top is in. You know, there is no top, there is no spoon. So, I'm not calling it, but right now I am liquid and loving it. And again, I don't sell the Qs because that's the family, investment. But I am so liquid right now, and I'm loving it. So again,
Gotcha.
JP Morgan today, Citibank, JP Morgan yesterday, Citibank today, just crushing the banks, and finally the Qs gave way. So if you haven't noticed, the Qs kind of still haven't broke all-time highs.
No, they haven't.
The
Dow
market's
has
been
S&P, Russell, but not the Qs.
right. So something's going on right there.
All right, well, I'm going to try to say it as best as I can, but let's get to our phrase of the day, and that is, well, you guessed it, VWAP. VWAP is one of those trading terms you hear a lot. You've already heard it about 10 times in this episode, but most people don't realize it's basically a fair price snapshot that tells you where the real buying and selling happened. It's an average market price that's weighted by volume, so those high volume trades count for more. It's like volume backups for the argument for a price. And Kenny, we know VWAP is not just an indicator, it's a way of life for you.
Yes.
But on the chart, you trust when everyone else is arguing about the story. Tell us exactly how you use this.
Well, first of all, again, I like your description. It's kind of like institutional order flow. And, again, as successful as some of us might be, we're still insignificant fleas, the day trader, right? We're looking for that institutional move. So what we're looking at, specifically with the JP Morgan yesterday, as it's gapped up and everyone's looking at those earnings, we're just looking at VWAP. And when it breaks through the VWAP, and what I look at, speaking of Brian Shannon, multiple time frame, if you break today's and you break the prior day VWAP, almost 90% of the time, you're going to start a trend that is that direction for the day. It doesn't matter what happens tomorrow because we're day traders. But if you can make yourself 7 or 8 points with very limited risk, every trade you put on around VWAP is limited risk. You know exactly where you're getting in, you know what your risk is, and then you basically just milk that trade throughout the day. And yesterday was fantastic.
Jenny, I got FOMO right now. I want to become. I want to be a
jump in with you. This
I want to
sounds
be a
exciting.
day trader again and join your room. I want to clear up a couple things about VWAP here. I'm going to keep calling it VWAP. I know that gets you. So when we say that, we're typically talking about, because this is a history, what the VWAP is on the current day. So you take the beginning of the day and it's the average price throughout the day, weighted by volume, et cetera, et cetera. And when you talk about the prior day's VWAP, wherever it ended, that was the ending point for that day. But we also have something, Brian Shannon again, called anchored VWAP.
Correct.
And it's actually very similar to something that emerged in the 90s called the Midas market of analysis. And that's kind of archaic here. But in anchored VWAP, you're taking a different, it could be like the beginning of the year, it could be an important bottom, it could be an important top, but you're doing that over time. So where it's not intraday, it could be on any time frame. And that's what we're talking about, the versatility of VWAP here. So you use anchored VWAP in other time frames?
Well, I anchor it to something very, very specific. So right now we just got into earnings. So I want to know what the VWAP was
a great use.
over the last 3 months. So I'll just take the data from last JP Morgan's report, put it on my chart. So I'm looking at today's VWAP, the prior day, and let's call it the 3-month VWAP. And again, it really just gives you a beautiful snapshot of that institutional order flow since the last earnings report. So when price discovery starts to happen, and again, what is really nice is when, again, I call it the rigging of the market. And when stocks retrace and people think it's some random sell-off, and then you come back to a 1-month VWAP, and sometimes you hit it to the penny. That's what's amazing about it. And that's why, I've been using it now exclusively since 2012. I am thrilled every day. I mean, it is still fascinating. And again, talking about the markets, this is by far still, since COVID, day trading is back in a big way. There is so much more volume, there's so much more activity, and so much more opportunity. And if you just stay focused on VWAP, it really just helps you stay disciplined. But back to the anchored VWAP, yes, he anchors it to very specific moments. I anchor it to specific days, because through experimentation, I found that most stocks will live today's VWAP, prior day, and a good 5 days worth of data. But then earnings season, I'll look at that 3-month.
We talk a lot and we're joking a lot about how, wow, we want to jump right in with you. And I'm sure some of our listeners out there are like, wow, I really want to jump in on this too. Obviously comes with a bit of risk here. So what's your message to potential new day traders, things of that nature? They're looking to understand this. Probably
start
small, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, if you're just getting started, I always tell people, don't quit your real job, okay? And just learn, experience it. And that's what we do. Again, that's why I pride myself on doing free ceremonies, free trials.
It's
a ceremony. It's a sermon. I'm going to Vegas the next month. It's going to be a sermon of VWAP. It's going to be hilarious. I can't wait. I think I might just wear a white suit when I do it. But just if you're getting started, just watch it. Just behold what it does and how the stocks will ebb and flow around multiple time frame VWAP and today's VWAP. And you'll start to say, oh, okay, so, again, let's talk about my nephew. Still in high school, and I started showing some charts. He was trying to learn how to trade. He was getting into crypto. I was like, leave that crypto alone. Let me show you real stocks. And the first thing I showed him was stocks will retrace to the VWAP intraday. So he says, Unc, so if it holds the VWAP and starts to rally off it, I should buy it off that rally and use VWAP as my stop? Yes. Now you don't have to go to college.
All right. We got another setup here because this is key for our market show and tell. And this comes straight out of Kenny's personal playbook. I mentioned it before. It's called Faux Show Bro. Kenny's shorthand for fake out, shake out, breakout. And the breakout can be based on VWAP. So here's the idea. You get a dip that flushes people out. It feels ugly. It feels like the move is over. And then price snaps back. It reclaims that VWAP line and it breaks above it. That is the momentum entry that Kenny is watching for. So Kenny, when you do see this Faux Show Bro setup, is this, how do you manage it? And how often do you see this? That's what I'm really interested in. How often do you see these patterns?
Oh my God, this is what's so amazing about it. We've been using this since the 90s. So now that I've overlaid VWAP with it, so basically the Faux Show Bro is, it's a fake out, it's a shakeout. So you're getting a second leg down, which as a shorter, that used to convince us, hey, this thing's going lower. And then it makes that U-turn. And the shorter, we're always living in denial because we're delusional psychopaths. We think, oh, everything's going to zero. But then it makes that turn. And one of the things, when I say VWAP saved my career, it saved my life. Because as a shorter, I just didn't want to give up on those trades. So if you get the fake them out, shake them out, and then you're breaking back over the VWAP, most of the time that trend is changing. So what also is, talking about new traders, that the faux and the show are your stops if the VWAP break doesn't happen. So if you don't get that breakout movement, the fake them out, shake them out area is where you're going to use your stops. And again, to reiterate, the reason this trade works so well is that the longs are getting stopped out and the shorters get encouraged to take that short position, and then it turns around. Everybody's wrong. The fear of missing out kicks in. The long trader wants back in, and the short that knows what he's doing, again, the shorter who knows what they're doing must cover and go long. So a lot of times you're actually a victim to that trade because it does feel like you're going lower, but the skilled trader who can accept loss, and again, that's part of it. Sorry, internet. People lose money trading. You have to accept that loss, and then you see that pattern, you join the winning team, and then you make all that money back.
At what point do you understand, okay, I need to step out of this? It's come time.
The VWAP break, right. So the VWAP is the confirmation of the fake them out, shake them out. So sometimes you'll get fake them out, shake them out, and you hit the VWAP, and that's it, and you roll back over. The shorter still has that, that chance to make money.
Shed a few tears.
Do you ever get a false breakout to the upside? Because how do you define your risk then? Do you just place your stop below VWAP then? So in other words, if you got the Faux Show Bro signal and it comes back down, so it's like a fake out on top of a fake out, how does that work for you?
Great question, because sometimes you'll get the faux show underneath the VWAP, and then when you get to the VWAP, it starts to make that new pattern. So sometimes you'll get, we call it the VWAP shuffle. You're shuffling along, you're jiggling along. The market's trying to make you lose money. It really is.
That is the goal of markets.
Yes, it's trying to shake you off the bat. It's trying to get you off. It's like a bucking bronco. So I love when that trade happens. But because we're using those lower areas as the stop, we're not really getting too chopped up in that jiggle, and we're waiting for that moment to finally make that move. But if you see a little tiny attempt, mini Faux Show Bro right around VWAP, that actually confirms that you're going to be right about this trade. And again, a lot of times you will get jiggled out, as we call it, or shuffled out. You just got to say, okay, I just got shuffled. Let me get back in and, make that move.
I'm sure we'll hear VWAP at least 10 more times during this episode, but we do need to take a short break. But coming up, we're talking silver and gold, and we've got a runway battle featuring some legendary comedians. Stay tuned. This episode is brought to you by the number 51. That's the gold to silver ratio, which means that gold is now 51 times more expensive than silver. It's a simple way that traders use to compare how silver is moving versus gold. This number was over 100 recently, and now it's half that, and it's at the lowest level in more than a decade. So this is telling us that silver is rapidly catching up to the price of gold. Kenny, what can you tell us when you think about silver, when you think about what we've seen lately? I know that you even have silver coins.
We just want to see the silver in your pockets.
Okay. I'm always jiggling, baby. But if you put a bull and a bear on a silver coin, I'm in. So I've been carrying these as pretty good luck forever. Just long story short, I was a baseball card guy, and that's how I got into the market, speculating on players and basically selling into strength. Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, just to date myself.
Yes.
Big 70s guy, George Brett Robinson. And those baseball card shows, there was always silver and gold guys there. And I didn't have money for the gold, so I flocked to the silver. I did trade a Johnny Bench rookie card for an ounce of gold. Still have it, actually the same one. But the silver trade, to me, this is a 30-year. We've been waiting for 30 years for this. And
the longer the base, the higher in space, as they say. So how high does this go, Kenny?
Well, right now, 50 got us 80, which was what I've been telling everybody. If we can just stabilize over 50, we're going to get 80. Didn't think it was going to happen this quickly. That's what frightens everybody.
Yeah.
But
Do you think it's happened too quickly?
A little bit, yeah. It caught a lot of us off guard because, even the stackers, I buy every month. I buy bullion, I buy coins. And, again, I was buying at 30 and 40 just every month, and then next thing you know, I'm paying 60, 70 for the same stuff I bought a couple of weeks ago. You don't want to keep putting the same amount of money in. Plus, you're not getting as much. Yeah. But my God, it is the coin shows were packed. There was a line to get in. I've never seen a line to get into one of these shows.
I have not heard of that.
Me either.
Everybody, and that's a frightening thing when it's the crowded trade.
Yes.
But also on the flip side, when people see this monster parabolic move, the shorters get involved. And again.
And then they're the fuel.
Yeah.
Faux show.
Yes, yes. And the shorters are generally, they're wrong. okay? Because they see this move, just like in the markets, right? Just because something's gone up parabolically doesn't mean it has to come crashing back down. It can consolidate, just like that whole overbought thing.
Yeah.
If something's overbought, sure, but if it stays overbought for a given amount of time, it's no longer
Correction in
the
time.
overboughtness it kind of dissipates. Same thing I think is going to happen here. So if we could stabilize between 70 and 80, that would be lovely, because if we do, I think we're off to 120, and then we could get real parabolic. I don't want to go nuts here, but 120 gets us 180, 180 gets us 250. And if we're looking at 250 on
Are we
silver,
talking about
parties at my house.
I think I
Parity
need to
with
go to a
gold?
gold show soon.
Parties at my house, silver at 250.
All right, Kenny, I want to, on previous episodes here where you've joined us, we've talked about the robot, you've talked about the robot, space, quantum, and maybe a couple other things in there.
Right.
Are you still trading those names, or are they just not as exciting because you got other things?
Oh, no, I love them. Space rockets, robots, quantum AI chips, and of course, the drones. Shout out to Rex Shares. They put out a DRNZ, fantastic little ETF. So big fan of the drones. I'm hoping it's not a fad, but I do own the index. That's the way I invest instead of picking individuals. But right now, that's where the money's going. And the rare earths, they had their moment. They came crashing back down. Still trade them. Again, as a day trader, we just go where the action is, and that's why VWAP means so much to me. VWAP is showing you where the action is.
You literally said VWAP saved my life. I'm going to get that on a shirt for you.
Yeah, it really did, especially as a shorter.
Yes, sir. All right. Any other market stuff we haven't covered? Specific techniques. We talked about Faux Show Bro, VWAP. What about risk management? I know you talk about using VWAP as a level, but how do you think about it? How do you approach it? And this is very important for new traders.
Well, like I said, it's mostly a day trading tool for me, and I'm mostly a day trader. But looking at it,
But do you set your stop as soon as you go in? Like, how rigorous are you
How
about
are you
your
starting
plan?
the day?
Oh, great question. And again, I'm very pessimistic. Again, it's, I guess, a Jewish mom. She's instilled this into me. Nothing's ever going to go right, but I should be happy when something does. So when I get into a trade, just like the JP Morgan yesterday, I'm shorting at VWAP. The prior highs are my outs. And again, my preparation is who reported earnings and what companies. There's always some therapeutics stock every day where the volume is. You probably go by, I'll probably trade it, CRML, where the volume is that day. It gives us the advantage because that's when VWAP works its best. Small cap stocks with 40,000 shares trading on them, they're still going to be in the hands of the manipulators. And again, that's why I love VWAP also. You are now you're not being manipulated. You are the manipulator.
You're reading the footprints.
Yes.
Reading the footprints.
So more volume, it's actually safer. But, generally my standard practice, I wake up in the morning, I'm looking at earnings, who reported last night, who reported in the morning, and then I look at the high volume, the percentage gainers. That's where you usually find those therapeutics, those biotech stocks. And those are, a lot of fun to trade because you get those $2 stocks that sometimes that rip to $20-$30 or even more. So
My gosh, I
Or they
can
go
feel
to zero.
the energy. I'm moving. It's like
eventually they do,
smoking.
yes.
But what I will say is we've been talking a lot about the show, about the optimism around AI, but also around space in general, potentially getting a SpaceX IPO this year.
Yes.
How are you thinking about that trade and maybe not necessarily SpaceX, but the others that are
Yeah,
surrounding
and
it?
IPOs in general. Do you trade IPOs?
Well,
New listings.
I don't have good luck with them, but they're that MDLN. Again, the volume that came in on the buy side on MDLN, you could not resist buying that stock, and it was just phenomenal. The other IPO that I did well on was Viking, the cruise ships. Nobody talks about it, but the volume that came in on the buy side was extraordinary. But generally, the way I look at IPOs, it's the company's way of cashing out. So
Yeah, it's a liquidity event for the insiders and the people who bought early.
Right.
And now these companies stay, private for 10, 20 years. So you're kind of a bag holder sometimes.
Precisely. So what I like to wait for is if the IPO breaks the IPO day. I like when the opening tick is the high of the day because then I know where I'm going to buy. I had a good success with ARM, good success with A-Lab. They kind of went down first, consolidated, and when they break, and again, you get the big Faux Show Bro, it works on, works on every time frame. If you get a big shakeout, kind of like NAVN, terrible IPO, opened up below the IPO price. They crushed this thing 50%, but on earnings, you had an intraday Faux Show Bro, and you had the long-term chart where it broke a new low, came back, and then started breaking out. And that's when we
Faux
start
Show
looking
Bro
to
on
buy.
multiple time frames. We got to do that. That's a topic
Yes.
for another show.
Yes.
All right. We only got a few minutes, so we got to get to our market's take on a classic Hollywood gab show staple, Who Wore It Better? Today, we've got two legendary comedians squaring off, repping two different types of market energy. On the left catwalk, we got Bill Murray. He's rocking a calm conviction. He's in an understated blazer, vintage sneakers, hands in his pockets, totally unbothered. He's got that wait for the moment vibe. Let the price come to you, don't force it. And on the right, we got Kevin Hart. He is pure high-octane participation, bright bomber jacket, statement sneakers, mic in hand, ready to hit the gas. He's the energy when the tape gets loud and everybody leans in. So Kenny, who's wearing the 2026 tape better? Is it Bill Murray's patience or Kevin Hart's full-speed confidence?
I don't even have to see the picture. It's Bill Murray. Not a fan of Kevin Hart, but Bill Murray, hero of mine. Yeah, I met him when I used to work at Saturday Night Live back in the day.
He's done spots for Yahoo as well.
Yes, lovely gentleman. He's a lot of fun to be around. So anything Bill Murray does, I'm in.
I almost forgot that you work for Saturday Night Live very briefly.
Very briefly.
Random side little fun fact you
Could you
throwing
just
out there,
break
Kenny.
that down for us one more time?
Well, it was a sad moment, but I was just an intern. I used to work Thursday nights, Friday nights, and which was awesome. Friday nights was amazing because I got to watch kind of like the run through. That back in the day when Phil Hartman was there, and there was a place called Broadway Video. I still think they use it where they would do voiceovers. So I actually got to walk over with Phil Hartman to do the voiceover. So we were on the film. I was on the film unit. Those fake commercials that they would run right before the show. They don't do too much of those anymore. But also, I was just a lowly intern answering the phones. And one day, I answered the phone, apparently with a funny voice, and the guy on the other line didn't like my voice, and I was asked to leave. I needed to leave the building. The guy said, "Hey, is that how you answer the phone?" And I probably did answer with some flair, Saturday Night Live, and he was mad. I think that I didn't know who he was because he was the film unit director. I don't want to say his name right now, but it was a fun month and a half. I think about 2 months. I got to meet, Rob Schneider, Adam Sandler was there, just getting started.
From there, though, all the way to day trader, I mean, journey speaks for
Oh
itself.
my God! Yeah.
I see the synergies. So they're like this.
Right. Well, that's why that's why I do a live show every day. I try to make it fun. And I have a captive audience, so they have to laugh at my jokes, or I kick them out. So a lot of stories. Yeah, I was in the record industry for a while too. So long life, but I'm having a lot of fun now. Yeah, suffice it to say.
All right, Kenny, I can't wait for appearance number 7 here. And just to review, we talked about VWAP one more time with Kenny because, well, we can't get enough of it. And VWAP literally saved his life. So it's just that kind of finding the equilibrium between the buyers and the sellers. When the market price is above it, you know that the crowd is bullish and the crowd is making money. And when it's below, they're losing money. So you can use that accordingly. Also talked about the Faux Show Bro. I can't repeat that enough. I look forward to breaking this down on our live shows.
Thank you so much for bringing it. I mean, we've been saying it for 30 years. I'm so glad.
It is now canonized. If you search for it on the internet, I hope it shows up. We're going to put that in the comments or something.
I'm so excited.
And it's really nearing the time when we got to wind things down here in Stocks in Translation. So be sure that you check out all our other episodes of the video podcast on the Yahoo Finance site and mobile app. We're also on all your favorite podcast platforms. So be sure to leave a comment, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time on Stocks in Translation.